Welcome to the Wordstock Podcast with your hosts, Kim Fauner and Lisa Kovala. Over the coming weeks, we'll share exciting news about the 2026 Wordstock Literary Festival, chat with event organizers, and introduce you to this year's authors. Whether you are a reader or a writer, you'll be sure to find lots of great sessions. This year's Wordstock Literary Festival takes place on October 16th to 17th at Place des Arts in Sudbury. Festival tickets are available now at wordstocksudbury.ca. I'd like to welcome John Degen to the podcast today. I want to first start with reading John's bio. So John Degen is a poet and novelist with 4 published books and work in several anthologies. His debut novel, The Uninvited Guest, was shortlisted for the 2006 Amazon.ca First Novel Award. His essays and opinions have been published widely, including in Publishers Weekly, the Globe and Mail, the Toronto Star, the Hill Times, Canadian Notes and Queries, This Magazine, and the Literary Review of Canada. He has served on many boards and advisories in the literary and arts sector, including terms as chair of the Book and Periodical Council, This Magazine, and the Canadian Creators Coalition. He holds a master's degree in literature from the University of Toronto. Degen has worked on behalf of other authors for the past 20 years. He is CEO of the Writers' Union of Canada and chair of the International Authors Forum in the UK. His latest novel is Seldom Seen Road, Latitude 46 Publishing from May 2026, and he lives, works, and swims 6 months of the year on the north shore of Lake Huron. Welcome, John. So great to have you.
Thank you very much, Lisa, and hello, Kim.
Hi.
Yeah, I may have a slightly unusual writer's biography because of all the other work I do, the administrative work I do on the side, but it gives me a great perspective on the industry anyway. So
Absolutely.
I wanted to start, John, with your new novel, Seldom Seen Road, and it's
Sure.
one set in Northern Ontario, but you live in the GTA. So can you tell us a bit about how you found yourself drawn to the north and to the Thessalon area in particular?
Sure, absolutely. I do live in the GTA. I've always been, I would say, a northern spirit, and I know Northern Ontarians would scoff at this, but I spent every summer of my childhood on Lake Simcoe, which I know is not north, but it's north of Toronto. So
Wow.
to a certain extent, that counts. And I used to be the literature officer at the Ontario Arts Council, which meant that I funded writers and publishers and festivals and reading series across the province. And I noticed very quickly when I took over that job that like 98% of the money coming out of my office stuck to the GTA and didn't get up north. And I made it my crusade at the time to get more money up the northern highways and to writers and reading series and hopefully publishers up north. There weren't a lot of publishers to aim at the time, and what that meant was I would rent a car and I would drive north, and it was revelatory job for me. I learned so much, and I crossed the French River, and I immediately fell in love with the landscape, and the people, and the road signs, which is where the title of my novel comes from. I remember driving by that road outside of Massey, Ontario, and seeing the sign for the first time and sort of thinking, like having a moment of cognitive dissonance and thinking, how is it possible that there isn't a murder mystery series written about this part of the world using Seldom Seen Road as a book title? So I felt very lucky to be able to use that. Yeah.
Amazing.
I love your book because it does seem very northern to me as a northerner. So I think
Success.
Yeah, I think you've caught the spirit of the towns and the people here.
Yeah, you know what? I get a lot of feedback. I've been doing a sort of a mini tour of a lot of the towns that show up or will show up in my mystery series. I've been doing public libraries and small venues, And I'm getting that feedback from people. You succeeded at capturing the voice and the sort of feel of living up here. So and that's probably the most gratifying feedback I could get. Yeah, for sure.
Excellent. This first novel is part of a series. Is it a trilogy?
Margaret Cannon at the Globe and Mail decided it was a trilogy, and
Awesome.
that's the most high profile press I have.
Okay.
So it's a trilogy, sure, but it's a trilogy that will then continue afterwards with other books. I intend it to be a series along the lines of Giles Blunt's Cardinal series or Louise
Okay.
Penny's
Louise
Gamache
Penny.
series,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but because of Margaret Cannon, who's on the sign behind me, um, uh, I have come up with like a really tight 3 book arc.
Oh,
So there are storylines that start in this book in Seldom Seen Road that will resolve and conclude by the third book or at the end of the third book. It's just that maybe in the second book I'll start storylines that won't resolve until like the
Mm,
fourth book, and I'll just
mm,
keep leapfrogging myself as I go along. Hopefully, if I have the
yeah.
skill to do that, yes.
Yeah.
you're not limiting yourself in terms of the number of books in this northern setting that you're gonna do.
I am not, and I'll tell you why. I'm absolutely in love with my characters.
Yeah.
The 3-person sort of amateur detective family trio, and I just want to be around them. So I don't want to shut it down after 3 books. And also, people say, "Oh, will you run out of mysteries? Will you run out of murder victims and murderers?" And I say no. I I do a lot of local journalism up on the North Shore of Lake Huron. I like to see local coverage of town council meetings and decisions made by local administrators and stuff. When I attend these town council meetings, usually over Zoom, the personalities in the room are just fantastic, and the stories that arise out of just trying to live on the North Shore of Lake Huron and trying to sort of run your town. It's endless, the subject matter that I can use. I joke that in each one of those town council meetings, I say to myself, "Oh, that's the murderer and that's the victim over there." Okay, so I just have to get those two together, and there's a book. Yep.
They're going to be watching for themselves and trying to figure out
Of course,
which
of
one is
course.
me, that's definitely not me.
So Seldom Seen Road is outside of Massey. It's a real town. It's a real road outside of Massey, Ontario. And right now, going on in Massey is this big sort of controversial development of a solar panel project, like a
Mm,
solar farm, and it's really brought the residents out. Some really want it,
yeah,
some really don't want it, and that kind of sort of human tension is, of course, my subject matter. That's what I'm really,
amazing.
really interested in. Yeah,
I
yeah,
love that so much. I want to pivot just a little bit because you have a day job that is slightly
whew, yeah,
involving writing and writers and all the things, but you are CEO of the Writers Union of Canada, as Kim and I
yep,
both well know, and you're no stranger to Wordstock. Can you tell folks a bit about your role and what that looks like at the
sure.
union?
So the union is a professional association for authors of books across Canada. We've expanded our membership a little bit. You don't technically have to have a book in the marketplace right now, but you have to be a serious player, a serious writer who is intending to be sort of a commercial writer in the book marketplace. And we provide all sorts of professional development and advocacy, which is really the big file on my desk, is going to Ottawa and insisting on legislation and regulation that protects and supports writers' rights. It's a it's kind of an inside baseball sort of role. You have to be in the world to fully understand things like copyright and related rights around being a cultural creator. But I find it endlessly fascinating and endlessly frustrating that, cultural creators in Canada were sort of shoved over to the kids' table often when we're talking about legislation in Ottawa, and I like going there and being insistent that we sit at the big table. So that's my role, and I do a lot of work internationally as well. I took on this kind of work very early in my career, rather than trying to be a full-time writer because of how difficult it is to be a full-time writer in Canada. So what I thought was, well, I will try to make it easier to be a full-time writer in Canada through this kind of work. And it turns out that's what I've been doing for about 35 years. And I'm tired, Lisa. I'm very tired.
Well, we appreciate everything you do. We really, really do appreciate
Thank
it.
you. I just want to sit in my
Amazing.
writing shed and write about people killing other people
My
in
God.
an entertaining way.
In a fun, entertaining way, for sure.
Yes.
Yes, I'm sure your Google search bar is as complicated and
Yeah.
interesting. Hopefully, police don't ever get a hold of that.
I was going to say, if I'm ever investigated, I'm in big, big trouble,
Yeah.
but that's all right.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely. So talking about your writing shed, which is underway, what does your perfect writing day as a writer look like?
Oh, this is an excellent question. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I will have built my writing shed before I get this perfect day, which means I get up in the morning, I get a cup of coffee, I walk out to my writing shed with my dog, let's
Of
say.
course.
The dog hops up on the couch. Every writing shed needs a couch because there are naps involved in writing. And I would say, because of the other work that I do up north, the local journalism, I would probably start my day with my creative work, start on a novel or wherever I am in my current novel. And I'd have a word count. I'm very nerdy that way. I want to get to a certain word count right now. Right now, because I'm working full time, my word count's about 500 words a day. But if I if I were a full time writer, it would be in the thousands. I'd get there to that word count, take a break, walk the dog. Might be a nap involved, and then I would do an afternoon of local journalism. It's all writing. It all feeds my creative passions.
Yeah.
And then at the end of that, there would be a swim and potentially a martini because I'm a big fan of
Okay.
Ian Fleming, and I know that he had a martini at the end of every day.
100%. I think, John, you need to let us know when your shed is ready because we're going to take a drive up to Thessalon
No kidding.
and crash that party. Sounds amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
I
that's
do
the
want to
ideal day.
absolutely. That sounds beautiful. Fantastic. I mentioned that you have been at Wordstock before. Is there something that you're looking forward to the most for this fall?
At Wordstock, I love being in Sudbury. It's on my drive. I do this drive between Toronto and Thessalon regularly. It's on my drive. For years, while I was doing that drive, I would just zoom by Sudbury because I was like, oh, I have to either get to Thessalon or I have to get to Toronto. Now, because I work so closely with Kim. Kim, by the way, if people don't know, is the chair of the Writers Union of Canada and has been for over a year. So we work very closely together. I've been dipping into Sudbury more and more. Kim introduced me to jelly pigs. So now I
Yeah,
can't go past
that's
Sudbury
right. Famous
without
Landless
without
Bakery finished
stopping.
jelly pigs. Shout
Oh
out.
my goodness. And the bookstore, Bay Used
Bay.
Books,
Yeah.
I get
Mhm.
lost in all the time.
Yeah,
So
amazing.
I'm looking forward to all of that and also to my Sudbury writing people. You have a amazing writing community up there, a very creative community, and I just like hanging out with everyone.
Amazing. Kim, any final questions for John?
I would like to know what you're reading right now. I'm really nosy about what writers are reading.
I just did a book event in Thunder Bay. last week for Seldom Seen Road, and I picked up a book there about the 1918 Finnish Civil War. It's a novel, but it's very sort of non-fiction-y in all the factual work that's been done. And this is a huge gap in my knowledge. I didn't even know there was a civil war in Finland in 1918. And I should, because there's so many Finnish people around me up north, and I am loving it. It's by Roy Blomstrom from
Oh,
Thunder Bay.
okay.
Yeah, partner of
Shout out
Marion
to Roy.
Agnew, right?
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yes.
And it is, I'm fully into it at this point. Yeah.
Amazing.
One
Love
of the
it.
characters has died and it devastated me. So, yeah.
Oh,
But
I
it's
love
war.
it.
It happens.
It's war.
Yeah.
Amazing. We could talk all day, but
We could.
we could honestly, there's so many things to ask you, but we will see you in October. Thank you so much for joining us today, and looking forward to your event at Wordstock.
I look forward to it. Let's all go out for dinner or something.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
John.
See you later.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for this episode. Wordstock Literary Festival tickets are available now at wordstocksudbury.ca. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter on Substack to get details about all the events we host throughout the year, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. See you at the festival.